Fortnite has revealed that the last reality has been watching us and studying us ever since the beginning, and yet the imagined order were also watching us and studying us. We know that Geno is the leader of the IO and the Nothing is the leader of the last reality, and they fit the typical good versus evil story. But there's also a deeper connection between these two that I think Fortnite has tried to hint at through the way both go about getting their goals. I'm going to present a few ways that Geno and the Nothing are similar, how each have created many events we've seen in Fortnite, and how they use the loopers and, more importantly, the 7 to achieve their goals. First, Geno and the Nothing have used the loopers on the island to further their goals of either protecting the 0 point or destroying it. The Spire is an example of this. For Geno, he let Jones believe that the IO wouldn't do anything to fix the destabilization of the 0 point in Zero Crisis, and as a result of that, Jones went back into the loop and asked for the Foundation's help. The Foundation sealed the 0 point in the Spire, which allowed Geno to do nothing while Jones and the leader of the 7 did all the work for him. After the Spire was made, we were introduced to Raz, who told us that the Spire has called to him in his dreams since he was young, suggesting the Spire or the material of the Spire has existed for a long time. As Raz was drawing closer to the Spire, this allowed him to be corrupted by the cube's energy from the Nothing, and after Raz was corrupted, he was made to be a guardian for the Spire while a Chimera ship from the last reality used Raz as a beacon to find the Spire and rip the 0 point out. The Nothing only needed to corrupt Raz to guard the Spire and let the Chimera finish the job by destroying the 0 point. However, the 0 point was gone when the Chimera got there, thanks to the work of Batman. In the Batman 0 point comics, we see Batman learning how to escape the Fortnite island. The IO kept tabs on him, realizing if he's smart enough to figure out how the loop works, then he might be able to get the 0 point out of the Spire. That's why Deathstroke was sent in to spy on Batman outside the loop to make sure Batman would find his way to the IO's headquarters with the other loopers and free the 0 point for Geno. Also in the Batman 0 point comics, outside the loop, Renegade Rider shows Batman a tablet rune that represents people being pulled into the 0 point. Renegade Rider points out there are 2 godlike figures that may have brought those people here. Geno and the Nothing could be the godlike figures. Geno has thrown people into the loop, so he most definitely brought those people here. The Imagined Order has been around for thousands of years with every member of the IO, including Geno, being immortal, just like a god. The Nothing is an immortal entity that has existed since before creation, making him like a god of some sort. So the Spire was a prime example of Geno and the Nothing using loopers to accomplish their goals. But what about using the 7? As I mentioned, Geno let the Foundation seal up the 0 point. Geno did nothing when the 0 point was also destabilized in Chapter 1, so he let the scientists fix it for him with the Black Hole event so that the timeline would be fixed. Scientists said in his tapes that,
"I suspect they are not the only ones watching, but it must be done or we lose the bridge forever,"
implying that the IO is watching the scientists, but also the Nothing could be watching as well. When the Visitor opened a rift in the sky, this allowed the last reality to send a cube on the island. Of course, the most famous example of the last reality using the 7 is when the Chrome captured a few members and sent them to the last reality as Amy discovered in Chapter 4. And let's talk about Chapter 4 because it's an essential chapter to figuring out how Geno and the Nothing are connected. In Season 1, we're introduced to the Oathbound and Stellan. The Oathbound is a kingdom that Geno ruled over before he discovered the 0 point and created the IO. And Stellan is the Rift Warden of the Oathbound, and through his questline, we learn about a character named the Shapeless Man. The Shapeless Man has been suspected to be Geno or the Nothing, but my guess is that he is the Nothing. Sure, there is that one line where Stellan says that the Shapeless Man imagined a world of perfect order, and that might hint at a deeper connection to the Nothing and Geno. The Shapeless Man has spoken to Stellan in his dreams since he was young, and the kinetic ore on the island helped enhance the Shapeless Man's connection, just like Raz's connection with the Spire.
"I did not dream of him for centuries. Your refined kinetic ore returned him to me."
The Shapeless Man needs Stellan to build him a rift gate so that he can get to the island, and doesn't care if the island is ripped in half. That sounds very much like what the Nothing would want, who would destroy the island to take the 0 point.
He does not care if opening the gate rends the island in two.
I think through these quests, it may have shown us that Geno could have also been in contact with the Nothing when he ruled the Oathbound. Geno had access to kinetic ore, which he used to make the weapons for the Oathbound, and also the panels that are used to stabilize the 0 point in the IO headquarters. It's unknown how Geno discovered the 0 point, but it might have been the Nothing that told him about the 0 point, and that would have been an example of the Nothing using others to achieve his goals. Though once Geno discovered that the 0 point held all of reality together, he refused to work with the Nothing, and the Nothing may have given Geno the idea to use people to achieve his goals of protecting the 0 point. In Season 4 Last Resort, in Cato Thorne's vault, there is an item called the Looper's Calendar, which is very similar to the tablet rune that Renegade Raider showed Batman. On this rune, there are a few people running around the inner circle with a crown in the middle. Based on the name of this item, it might represent a game of Fortnite. When taking a look at the outside of the circle, there are 5 symbols being pulled into the circle. These 5 symbols represent the Foundation, the Visitor, the Paradigm, the Origin, and the Scientist. Also, the runes shown to Batman had 5 people being pulled into the 0 point. What if the rune shown to Batman was an early creation of when those 5 members of the 7 kept being pulled into the 0 point but couldn't be identified, and the Looper's Calendar gave those 5 people a symbol and a better representation of the loop? If I'm correct about the godlike figures being Geno and the Nothing, then that means the 7 are just seen as tools for them to use. But for Geno, his daughters, the Imagined, and the Order were never pawns for him, so that might be why they aren't on any of these runes. Even in Zero War, Geno said he never wanted his daughters to be a part of the conflict. All they had to do was ask, and Geno would have sent them somewhere safe. Now in Chapter 7, the Order has come back to the island, and eventually we should see other members of the 7 return soon. The Visitor returned in OG, and the Foundation's fate is unknown, while the Imagined may have been taken out by the Dark Voyager. But with the Last Reality in Phase 2, the cloned versions of the Scientist and the Origin may be used as soldiers for the Nothing to destroy the fragment of the 0 point. If Geno comes back, he might have to work with the 7 to stop the Last Reality, or he may continue to use them for his own goals. My hope is Geno will have a character growth moment and realize if he works with these 7, they will actually help Geno, as both groups want to protect the 0 point. The only difference is how each went about doing it before. I hope this analysis of Geno and the Nothing gives some better understanding about these characters and how their storylines may continue in the future. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.